it's Tia Carrere, and you're listening to Kino, Kingdom with Britt
and Lazlo
and Rupert. Party on, guys.
I'm no expert. I've watched a film by with him in it, but I haven't done any homework.
Should we do it for the next one then? So we can do a little bit of.
Okay.
Because it'd be nice to actually watch Jeremiah Johnson again.
Oh yeah,
that's the kind of movie you just wouldn't be on a streaming channel as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
you'd just be like, oh, sorry, it's made before 1995, so therefore it just it isn't on streaming.
Yeah, it is hard to find films. Yeah, like before, I'd say like 1986 or 7. That's when it gets really sporadic on streaming services.
Yeah, the main ones anyway. I mean, I did see some stats on like Netflix was just ridiculous. It was like it's something like there were 2 films on there before like 1980. It was just insane. It's like, really, is it that much? You'd think they'd be pretty cheap to kind of like host on the site. I don't know.
I mean, what's
they know
this?
what they're doing though.
Yeah, they know what people. I think that's why I find myself getting further and further into the depths of Prime and stuff, because they do feel like little treasures when they pop up, as opposed to when you're just being forced what everyone else is watching.
Yes. With Netflix, you never just kind of go on a wander and like discover some weird obscure gem anywhere, do you? So.
But don't worry,
Prime. That's all you do.
Yeah, I tracked down a layer of the white worm. Don't you worry about that. So yeah, hello everyone.
Everyone's tracking down that shit. It's been thrown at my face the last couple of days. I think Alexa is listening to me.
So we did have a bit of a chat about hello all and welcome to Kino Kingdom 110. We are going to be talking about Robert Redford. I was going to say Robert Louis Stevenson then. Robert Redford. Next time, I have a bit more time to sort of delve into his, because he was starred in more than one film. You see, it wasn't just All Is Lost and Jeremiah Johnson.
I thought it was just because there was Butch Cassidy as well, and then 40 years later, All Is Lost.
So we're gonna it's gonna be a bit of a standard episode in terms of talking about films we've watched. I've got 9. I have trimmed a few off because maybe I'll talk about the next time if we have time at the end. But there was one film I watched and it got really weirdly good sort of fan reviews, like funniest film I've ever seen, and I just thought they must have just been watching the wrong film. There's no way they were watching this. But
Were they watching The Limey instead of that film?
Oh my god, yeah, I'll mention that at the start actually before the Halloween Tale. I put on I put on Lair of the White Worm on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And it came up just with The Limey. I thought, that's Terence Stamp. I didn't know he was in this. And I thought, hang on, this isn't the film. And then when I put on Lair of the White Worm and it was right, I put on some subtitles, and it was the subtitles from another film again. And of course, I couldn't work out which one that was. They were talking about like Mother Superior in the convent, and I was watching Peter Capaldi dig in a hole, and I thought, I don't think these are lining up. But I understand that, Rupert, you've got a spooky Halloween tale. Actually, before we go into that, are there a lot of horror this episode from us all?
Not really.
I've got 1.
Oh, bloody hell, this is a bit slack, isn't it? Well, let's hope this is slackest Halloween episode ever.
Yeah, I've got Halloween adjacent.
I guess the next one will be, because I've got actually 1, 2, 3, 4 are minor horrors, so that's fine. I'll pick up the slack. But Rupert, it's your turn to scare everyone's tits off with a spooky Halloween tale. So do you want to?
Well, yes. Full disclosure: it's not actually a Halloween tale, but it is a tale, and it does involve death. So
you haven't watched any horror films, and you haven't written a scary story, and this is our Halloween episode.
I have watched sort of horror films, but also Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, so it kind of like makes up for it.
Cool. Well, then I'll sit here then and try not to shit my pants, Rupert.
Okay. This is a story called The Mysterious Death of Walter Cunt. What? But you can't see how it's spelt, so it's a foreign spelling. Anyway.
That's a bold opening gambit, that is.
Okay. Right. Alright, this is very serious, right. Walter Cunt was found dead in 2008. His death has never been fully explained until now. Before I reveal the truth, I would like to furnish you with some background. You may not have heard of Walter Cunt. He was a prolific filmmaker till the end, although his career did take many twists and turns. Born Walter Kuntz, he began his directing career with a series of low-budget horror features, all shot and financed in Italy and with largely Italian crews. Therefore, many of the titles did not undergo the stringent translation they deserved. Titles such as Satan Whispers to My Dogs, The Crystal Plumage Shatters in Her Eyes, Passport in the Other Suitcase, The Thrush in Grandma's Garden, Acid Bubble Bath, The Space Behind My Knees, Forgotten Memories of Clear Recollection, Circus Ticket in My Breast Pocket, and Who's That Singing in My Garden Shed? In the 1970s, Kuntz took a hiatus from film and became a keyboardist and lyricist for burgeoning Euro synth band Donnerherz. They were famous for their dreamy soft pop ballads and the fact that all their hit singles seemed to feature the word love in their title. They crafted minor Billboard hits like Love in the Minor Key, The Answer to the Question is Love, Never Have I Not Loved Before Yesterday, Love Shaft, The Square Root of Eternity is Love, Love Soaked Tissue, Her Mouth is a Cave of Love, Breaking the Love Barrier, Love is Worth Loving For, and the classic, Crikey, what was that? Oh, it was love. Kuntz came to America in the 1980s, at which point he ill-advisedly removed the umlaut from his name and became Walter Cunt. The 1980s was Cunt's heyday, as he returned to his filmmaking roots. He embraced the rise of VHS, diving into the offal of the 80-minute trash horror genre. So during this period, we were treated to the likes of The Psychonator, followed by its ecologically minded sequels, Psychonator 2, Taking Out the Trash, and Psychonator 3, Re-Psychoed. A series of slashers followed after that, including Blood Smearer, Life Canceller, The Trowel Killer of Nantucket, Slash to Ribbons and its sequel, Ribbons 2, The Gift of Death, Bad Dream Scissorhands, Thursday the 12th, and who can forget his classic Maniac trilogy? Maniac Firefighter, Maniac Nurse, and Maniac Chartered Accountant. In the 1990s, his talent was noticed by the visionaries at PM Entertainment, and his career segued into action movies. The early ones were shot in LA before the year 2000 saw all production shifted to a single studio unit in Romania. This period brought titles such as Trouser Cop, Hell on an Industrial Estate, Stunt Whore, No Receipt, No Returns, No Receipt 2, Diminishing Returns, Gunfire Men, Hair Product, Samurai Ninja Hobo, and in the 2000s, his Steven Seagal trilogy, Scheduled to Kill, Popped Out for a Kill, and Mildly Interested in a Kill. It was following this trilogy that tragedy struck. Cunt's body was found folded in a suitcase with multiple gunshot wounds. Naturally, it was deemed suicide, but it was never revealed to the coroner that a receipt had been found alongside Cunt's body. Now, we're all aware that serial sexual harasser Steven Seagal is an egomaniac obsessed with control. We've all heard the stories about Aikido cheat Steven Seagal challenging a stunt double on set and subsequently being choked out and literally shitting his pants in front of the crew. We all know that Russia's special envoy, Steven Seagal extorted the first of his 4 wives, and indeed was himself extorted by the Gambino crime family, which ultimately led to him figuratively shitting his pants and emigrating from America to seek Serbian citizenship. That's common knowledge. But what you may not know is that alleged sex trafficker Steven Seagal is quite specific about his on-set requirements. The receipt found on Walter Cunt's body was Steven Seagal's standard order for a Chinese meal. This was pork balls, chicken balls, half crispy duck, special fried rice, Singapore noodles, crispy beef, egg fried rice, prawn crackers, boiled rice, and 6 cans of Coke. However, the receipt did not show 6 Cokes. It showed 6 Diet Cokes. So I put it to you that in 2008, during the filming of Mildly Interested in a Kill, Special Representative for Russia-US Cultural Links and Historical Heritage Steven Seagal had Walter Cunt murdered for an inaccurate Just Eat order from the Peking House restaurant in Romania. We literally have the receipts. My lords, I Bucharest my case.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. I was on mute for a lot of that. Trouser Cop sounds like a film that I could really get my teeth into.
There's a lot of films there that I would watch based on the titles. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And they're all real, so you can watch them.
I Bucharest my case. That was fantastic. Let's welcome me up. Let's put me in a nice Halloween mood.
Has Seagal ever done a horror film?
I don't think so. He's probably done an action horror. It's probably crap.
Either is what's the Glimmer Man? I suppose is like a serial killer. It's not a horror film, but it's a slight genre deviance.
But a lot of,
no, the Glimmer Man is a straight action film.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a straight because they call him the Glimmer Man. They explain this in the film, and I was rubbing my temples. It's one of the Wayans brothers, isn't it? In it with him, I think. And they say, why do they call him?
Oh, is he the Glimmer Man?
Yeah, and they say, why do they call him the Glimmer Man?
Okay.
And they said, because when he was in Vietnam, before you died, you saw a glimmer, and then you were dead. And I thought he was going to say, because when he was in Vietnam, you'd see a glimmer, then you'd smell a Chinese, and then you'd be dead. Yeah, I don't even know what a glimmer is. Like, a glimmer is what, like a flash of light in the distance? Yeah, so what is he? Maybe he's wearing a suit made out of mirrors. You sure you want to wear a suit made out of mirrors in the jungle, Mr. Seagal? Clanking your way around. That wasn't. I'm just having a look because Chuck Norris was in Hellbound, obviously. Have a quick look at his. I didn't expect to be doing this, but oh my god, when you type in Steven Seagal, the first question is what happened to Steven Seagal, which is a question I think everyone asks. Oh yeah, they haven't got a list of his films here, but you were there. The early one.
Finally, there was a popular website that listed films that people have been in.
I mean, we should get on that. This is just total bollocks. This is Today You Die. Flight of Fury.
Total bollocks would be one of his film titles.
End of a Gun. Contract to Kill. Jesus Christ. China Salesman. What the fuck are these films? The last one was in 2019, Beyond the Law. Oh, I bet if I click on that, it's got someone else in it who does all the kung fu for him. Yep, there it is. DMX. Boom. He's never been in a horror film, I don't think. Can I start off by getting rid of 2 films really quickly, just because it's part of an ongoing thing I'm in the middle of, and it's the Blood Fist 3, Forced to Fight, and Blood Fist 4, Died Trying. I
admire you for sticking with this franchise.
I'm going to try and get through all 8 or 9 films, I think, because it's but it's just really quick. There's nothing really to say about them, and the problem is with Blood Fist 3. I thank you again for that Halloween story. I'm trying not to laugh I'm trying not to think about it so I don't laugh again. There's so the first Blood Fist was him basically Bloodsport, wasn't it? His friend gets a kick in, he enters a tournament, blah 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 blah. Blood Fist 2 is the same film. It's just he's just cast as someone else, and it's just he gets tricked into going to Thailand to enter a tournament, and it's the same film again. Blood Fist 3, Forced to Fight, is the worst one so far because, and I've realised how much I don't like these sorts of films. It's like an action film set in a prison. So you kind of know exactly what. There's only so many beats that can happen. So it's just in probably an industrial estate in Romania, just in a brick building, and people get, and there's like a lot of it focuses a lot on racism in this. Like there's he sees someone being sodomized by a black gang, and then they're all against him. So the sort of prison warden puts him in with the black gang, and then there's another white supremacist gang that says we can protect you, but he's trying to stay neutral. And it's all very much, that people saying racial slurs and then getting into badly choreographed fights, and that was really boring. So that finished. And I thought, can I be bothered for like another 5 films of this? It turns out I can. So I then put on Bloodfist 4, which stars Vidal Sassoon's daughter. There's Katia Sassoon. Yeah. She died at 33 of like a heart attack, something with the high blood pressure. And I've got high blood pressure, but I'm older than 33, so that means I'm fine. And
you're better than her.
I'm a doctor.
That's what my GP told me anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you've survived longer than Vidal Sassoon's daughter, so you should be fine.
You should be fine. Anyway, drink this salty water, Mr. Roberts. So I was you watched Bloodfist 4. This is 1992, and this is the best one so far because it's got Gary Daniels in it. Gary Daniels here in this film is something to behold. It is like it's like you can imagine him being on the cover of a David Carradine film, hand drawn, obviously, in the early 80s with hair like he's got. It's astonishing. This plot for this one is that Don the Dragon Wilson, Ovs, is sort of a repo man who gets in. It's funny you should mention the whole thing about Steven Seagal kicking off with the stuntman who choked him up, made him shit himself, because that man was Gene LaBelle, wasn't it?
It was.
And he's in this film. Weirdly. He has like a really clumsy fight at the start with what's his name? He just looks like Mel Brooks, basically, with Don the Dragon Wilson, who's a repo man, and he goes out and obviously repossesses cars when people miss their payments, and he happens across Gary Daniels in a suit with his amazing hair, switching the license plates on a car that he's going to steal. He works for an arms dealer, and Don the Dragon Wilson says this car's been repossessed. They get into a fight, and then he sort of gets. He steals the car back off Gary Daniels, but there's a box of chocolates in the driver's and the passenger seat, and the whole film is this MacGuffin where Gary Daniels' boss is like, "We need to get the chocolates back. We really need those chocolates," and he's calling like Don the Dragon Wilson saying, "Have you eaten the chocolates? Have you got my chocolates?" And it's obviously there's something more to it, but it's just quite funny how they keep referring specifically to the chocolates and not what's in them, which are these sort of like rocket navigation chips or something. So what happens is the repo company he works for, they just get slaughtered, and he goes on the run because his daughter's kidnapped. And he's trying to track her down, and blah blah blah. And Vidal Sassoon's daughter's after him, and it's kind of fun because at least it's clearly in LA driving around. Yeah, not in a boring prison, and it's just him getting into fights with people and trying to rescue his daughter, and it's kind of a passable film. There's not enough Gary Daniels in it for my tastes, and there's nothing I can really say beyond the fact that it's just a bog standard Don the Dragon Wilson film, but it's probably the best Bloodfist film since the original because it's not in a prison. So I'm intrigued now because they've done the same thing for the first two. They're the prison, now they've done like his daughter's kidnapped and he's on a revenge mission. So I'm intrigued what 5, 6, 7, and 8 are going to be talking about. I'm assuming he goes into space at some point.
When were they made? 3 and 4? It's got to be in the 90s sometime.
91 and 92, and then 93. Right. They knocked out every year until 95, 96, and I think there's a gap then.
With those prison films, like action films in prisons, they always like have like an area then where there's like molten
you stop talking, love.
Like lava being poured around and stuff, or steam everywhere. And you're like, why have they got that in a prison? It's just like so they can make the fight scenes look more exotic or something. Yeah,
it also looks like they're in a steel mill, doesn't it? Like,
it's a weird steampunk atmosphere. It's like, why? Like,
no.
It'd actually be really, really sterile and quite boring.
That's what happens in Tango and Cash, isn't it? With when they go to prison, and Jack when they're in like the laundry room, and there's just like pipes just pumping out steam everywhere. It's just that's not what a laundry room looks like. And in what's that one? It's the one with Patrick Kilpatrick and Jean-Claude Van Damme in it. And that's in a prison as well. And he
Fortress?
No, Fortress is Christophe Lamb. And Vernon Wells, obviously, but whatever film it is, in the mid-90s, 95, I think it is. That again, when they get to the fight at the end, it's like an underground lift shaft with hundreds of prisoners just watching them out of their cells, and it's just they're in this like massive. It's just not what a prison looks like. That's brilliant. So I'm churning through those anyway.
So you've done 4 now out of 8?
I think it's either 8 or 9. It goes up to like Bloodsport 7 or 8, and then it's like Bloodsport 2053.
Good.
They really leapt ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a look actually, just while we're quickly doing this. So not Bloodsport, Blood Fist. Bloody hell!
Yeah,
keep doing that. Bloody hell!
It's exciting that like all of those films from that era, like they had dates that we've now reached. So that one's still got some way to go. So it could still happen, I guess.
This Blood Fist.
We haven't got flying cars or anything.
Here we go.
But,
Blood Fist 8, Train to Kill, or Hard Way Out is 1996. But then there is a Blood Fist 2053, but they don't even mention it on what's it called, Wikipedia. They just say, 8 is enough. So there's 9 films in total, basically. I'm not even halfway through.
How are you obtaining these? Are these all on Prime or?
Completely legally is the answer to that question.
Okay.
Absolutely legally getting hold of these. They're really hard to get hold of, apart from the first one.
4K.
Oh my god, they're all in 4:3. That's what I'm putting up with these days. Sorry, I'm pouring a beer. It's very unprofessional. I won't do it. Do you want to, Lazlo? Do you want to grab a film and I'll go on mute for a sec?
Sure. In a similar vein, I'm going to talk about A Real Pain, which is an action movie starring. No, it's not an action film. It's a very sedate drama. Directed by and starring Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh yeah, this got good buzz.
This got some Oscars nominated. No, Oscar wins. Was it? Has the Oscars happened yet? I don't know.
Oh no, it was. What was the other one? The Golden Globe. It was for
Kieran Culkin was up
Kieran
for something.
Culkin got something for it,
and well deserved. So yeah, this is a likable, kind of well-intentioned road movie about 2 Jewish cousins played by Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, who were like brothers growing up but have since grown apart, and they have decided to go on a Holocaust history trip to Poland in honor of their beloved grandmother who has recently died, and to try and kind of reconnect. And it's a good film. They're sort of both suffering in their own ways, but Eisenberg like sort of buries his pain, and Culkin wears it on his sleeve and gets them into a series of entertaining sort of scenarios. And whilst Eisenberg sort of gives himself a couple of juicy scenes, he doesn't really stand a chance because Culkin just steals the whole show as this sort of much more charismatic, annoying, funny, roguish prick, loose cannon kind of character. And it's tastefully done. It reminded me a little bit of something like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where it balances sort of heartfelt drama with more outlandish comedy scenes, and with the loose cannon character kind of stealing scenes. But it was a little bit. I wish that it was a bit more filmmakery. It's like an actor's film more than a filmmaker's film, and it doesn't feel very daring and has a lack of a cinematic quality, which is particularly noticeable in the soundtrack, which is a kind of unadventurous, kind of plonking, repetitive piano score throughout the whole thing. It gets quite tedious.
It feels like it should have like a soundtrack of songs. somehow.
Yeah. I wonder if they didn't have the budget or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, so it's solid enough, enjoyable drama. But you're there for Kieran Culkin, really.
What's it on? Because I do fancy that.
It's on Disney Plus.
Natch.
Yeah. There we go.
It won't be recommended to me on Disney Plus.
Well, Disney Plus doesn't really seem to have a clue who to add, because often I'll go on there and there's nothing on the front pages, and then you start digging through and there'll be a new release that would be something I would watch based on my watch list, or it's like this, been Oscar nominated, award winning, and it's just buried away. It's not on the front page or anywhere.
And Disney just like
weird.
Fuck off, make your own algorithm.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I had to go searching for this, but it's on there somewhere.
It was pushing Alien Earth up my bum for a while.
Yeah.
But then, to be fair, I did actually watch it all until it suddenly stopped, and I thought, "Oh, is that it?"
You gratefully received it.
Yeah. That sounds good. I do fancy that. I think it looks amusing.
Yeah. No fight scenes though, sadly.
Not even like a clumsy scuffle at some point.
No. Well. No lava sort of pouring warehouses full of steam. It was
Oh.
Got to go elsewhere for that.
Is it like in terms of humor? Is it quite dry humor, dark humor? Is it kind of Alexander Payne like?
It's I would say less aiming for laughs than that. It's tried to play it kind of real, but Kieran Culkin is clearly freewheeling a lot. He's channeling his character from Succession a little bit in the sort of way he just sort of. He's got these scathing put downs and goes on these big rants and stuff. So, yeah, it feels like a lot of it was not really in the script, but he makes it work.
Okay. Can I whiz through a couple of 2-minuters?
Please do.
Well, I watched Heretic. I won't go over it too much because I think you've both gone over this recently. But it counts as a horror, so let's stick it in there because it's Halloween. And this is the one about the 2 Mormon girls going to house visit from hell. Hugh Grant is like a bonkers hermit, questioning faith and religion and the miracles of holy books. Specifically, the idea of resurrection. I quite liked it. It's very wordy, isn't it?
Yes.
It tells not to stop talking. And the script sometimes sounds like someone has like clicked through a bunch of links on Wikipedia and thrown in a bunch of concepts, which are then explained ad nauseum. So it does talk itself to death a little bit, and it does, of course, descend into just regular madman horror stuff.
Yeah, in the last 15 minutes, you just lose interest in. Yeah.
Hugh Grant is having the time of his life, though. He's like really creepy and oddly charming and totally playing off like the fumbling beta male persona. So yeah, but yeah, it doesn't quite hang in there to the end, does it?
No. And it's like it felt like it had to meet a quota of a horror film or something come the end, and just starts killing people and having dingy people in cells in a basement or whatever it is. And, didn't feel entirely necessary.
Yeah, when it like don't breathe towards the end, it's like, okay, this is different to what I started watching. I also watched the first 45 minutes of Meg 2, The Trench. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because there may be those out there who might be tempted to watch it on for the same reason I did, because I barely remember the first movie, to be honest. But this one interests me because it was directed by Ben Wheatley, of course, who made Kill List, Field in England, Sightseers, peculiarly British movies, I'd have to say. Although he did do Free Fire, which I suppose is an action movie. But anyway, watch this. I concluded there's no evidence of Ben Wheatley being involved, to be honest. And his usual writing partner and wife, Amy Jump, is not involved. And Have either of you seen Meg 2?
I saw the original Meg. The only thing I remember about it was like the real warmth in the relationship with Jason Statham and the young girl. I remember nothing else.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice, weirdly.
Meg 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I watched it once, and then I had like no real memory of watching it, and then it sort of popped up in front of my eyes on Prime. I think it auto played onto it, and I was like, "Have I seen this?" And I watched it again, and I still can't really remember what happened.
Yeah,
but I do remember like the Ben Wheatley thing was appealing, and then yes, it felt like he was just stamping his card for Hollywood, saying, "Look, I can do what I'm told. Like I can make money, put money on the screen, and please give me something good." Because he nearly did Tomb Raider for a while, didn't he, and stuff. But
right. Well, I mean, good for him if he showed that he can like stay within budget and like, I don't know, film within the allocated period or whatever. But it doesn't help us because it's still crap. It just like it was very boring. There's a scene where they like walk. Do you remember the scene where they're like walking along the bottom of the trench in like suits, in like metal suits? And it doesn't even look like they're underwater. Like Statham is like lifting his gun like he's on the streets of LA or something. It's just like you don't look like you're underwater. You just looks like you're somewhere quite dark. That's about it. It looks like trash. The script was awful. CGI awful. Just boring. It was kind of like Sharknado with a budget.
It should have been. Oh, sorry.
No, go on, sir.
I was just going to say it felt like it had the right idea because it took like the big sea monster stuff from the first one and then chucked in terrorists with guns. So it was like Die Hard mooshed in with the Meg, which should work. But yeah, like you say, it's boring and yeah, it just didn't engage.
The other one I wanted to mention, because me and Britt had been talking about horror movies suitable for kids, and I watched the Goosebumps movies, Goosebumps 1 and 2. I want to mention Goosebumps 2 especially, which is currently on Now TV, because it's better than the first one for a start. And what struck me about it is that you know Monster Squad from the mid-80s, and how it's like a cool idea and almost a good movie, but not quite good enough to be like a kind of go-to classic. This is the movie that Monster Squad should have been, because it's essentially the same idea. Because obviously they've got a much bigger budget now, and the idea behind these Goosebumps movies is there's this writer, this children's horror writer, whatever, and they'll open a manuscript by him, and it will unleash all the monsters from within the manuscript, like his book he's writing. So that happens in this, and essentially they bring to life this really creepy doll, who like kind of wants to be their friend, but when they try and get rid of him, he just goes bonkers and starts like awakening all the monsters, and so you get all the like the classic Dracula and werewolf, and you get mummy, and you also get like witches and pumpkin heads and things like that, and they just go bonkers around the town. But I like it because it's like a really good introduction to like classic horror monsters without like too much gore or whatever, because it's for kids. It's also got a good understanding of like horror film language, so it's a good introduction to like teen slasher tropes without the slashing, and it's genuinely quite creepy and intense at times. And I know my son loves it because he keeps hiding from the screen, but he'll always come back, so he loves it. And yeah, and it's a new set of characters from the first movie, so you can just jump straight into number 2, which is better. So there you go, Goosebumps 2.
I was waiting for a film to watch, and you've just sold me on that, so I'm watching that tomorrow. No, thank you for that.
I was going to ask, if you can just skip to the second one if it's better, and so that's good.
I mean, they reference the first one. They say, "Oh, all this shit happened in this town years ago." So,
all this shit.
Yeah, but this is all this shit happened in the first one. As this.
Cool. That sounds like a Halloween movie that I can put on without upsetting the other half. Then,
yeah, it's quite charming. Got good kid characters in it who aren't quite very annoying. So there you go.
I was going to watch Terrifier 3, but this will work. This will be better for
slightly different movie.
Relationship harmony.
Can I talk briefly? I've got a few here. I'm just going to sort of mention there's two. Yeah. So I watched the first half hour of the Da Vinci Code. We stayed in the caravan, me and Faye, and it was like a lot of booze and a lot of good times, and a lot of some films because the weather was quite bad, which is perfect. Of course, I'm watching films on the Savalas, which I don't normally do, and just seeing the adverts, and which I never ever watch. And what tickled me was I was watching like another film I'm going to talk about later on, and I was watching it, and it was a comedy, and I was thinking, I'm quite enjoying this. And then of course it would cut to a break, and I'd be like laughing at the last scene. I just ha ha, and they would say, every 12 seconds a child is born without a face, and I'm like, what? And it kept happening, and it was so like demoralizing. I had to keep flicking channels, and then I'd flick like from that. I'll just go to any other channel now. Flick to like the next channel just to avoid the adverts, and it would be more adverts, and it would be someone saying, every 20 minutes someone forces £2 up a cat's dick, and I'm like, what? Can I not watch these? Can I just watch the film, or even just washing powder adverts or something that doesn't upset me? So I was just like hopping between the channels, trying to stop being sad. And what tickled me was I was in the middle of watching the film, flicked it, into the middle of another film that I started to watch. And then Faye said, and this is a term I have not heard since my nan was alive, she said, oh, what's on the other side? The other side. Like there's just two channels and it's the 1950s. Fucking hell. So yeah, that really tickled me. What's on the other side, John? So, but yeah, the only thing I want to say really quickly about this, and I'll throw the baton over to Lazlo, is I watched the first like half hour of this, and I quite like these globe-trotting historical adventures. I've never read any of the Dan Brown books, but first thing is Tom Hanks's hair it's like a back-heavy mullet. But I noticed that it's like the makeup team have like shaved around it, so it really looks like a wig. And because he's dyed it black, and I thought, surely his hair it looks so preposterous, but in the books, they can't focus on his hair that much. It can't be like an iconic haircut, if you know what I mean, like Guile from Street Fighter. It's just a bad haircut. So that was off-putting. And then I was watching it, and I actually turned to Faye and said, am I right in this scene? So have you both seen this film?
I've not seen any of that.
Right.
I've seen all three.
So this is all I want to say. I don't even know if it's good or bad because I just went off it after half hour to do something else. But he gets called by someone. I forget who the actor is now. It's a cop I think it's like the Louvre or whatever. So he's in the Louvre, and they say, "Oh, the guy has been killed, and he's written a message on the wall. He was shot to death." So they shine like a UV light on the floor, and you can see that he's written like. It's what's it called? It's like a sequence of numbers.
Latin?
No, not prime numbers. What's it called? It's a sequence of numbers anyway that begins with P, I think.
Fibonacci sequence.
Fibonacci sequence. Yeah, that's it. So he's written the Fibonacci sequence out of order on the floor. Below it, he's written get. What's his name? What's the
40?
No.
Get Tom Hanks.
Throw Mama from the train. Jürgen Proch loves it. Robert Langdon. So get Robert Langdon. And so he's like, right, and then he says, okay, so Tom Hanks, what do you think about this? And then it uncovers. It turns out that what's happened is this bloke, right? The puzzle that he solves is this bloke was shot. So someone walked in and shot him, possibly multiple times in the chest, and then just left. And then he lay down on the floor, wrote out a Fibonacci sequence in his own blood in a code, not just so only Robert Langdon could do it. Then he wrote a full message in his blood, got up, wandered into another room in the gallery, and wrote a full message next to the Mona Lisa as well, and then went back to where he started, lay down and died, pointing at it. And I thought, I don't think that's what happens when people get shot. I don't think that their brain capacity is like up to stuff. And I thought, and that kind of insinuates that the police come in. They put like a little cordon around the body on the floor and shine a UV light on the floor, but then make no effort to like look for any other evidence in the room. And he just comes in and solves it in a few minutes. And I thought, that's an extremely unlikely series of events, that is. And I hope all the films are like that, because it was so... It's not like, oh, who did it? Or, Columbo, one more thing, or there's a little clue. It's just something that just wouldn't happen. And I quite enjoyed that aspect of it. It's just like completely farcical. So I will get back to watching it, but I haven't yet.
You feel like he should probably spend that time phoning an ambulance instead of spending a good hour elaborately staging his death.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's such a It reminded me of the Sirens episode of Red Dwarf, where he says he's written an episode of Blood. Oh, what was this kidney? Why did he bother using that for a full stop? Well, I think that just sort of fell out. It's that kind of thing, like the fact that he wouldn't. I can imagine someone writing something on the floor in blood, but getting up and putting puzzles together as they're dying from blood loss as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, that is the appeal. My memory of these is vague, but I remember that being the fun is the playing on old sort of conspiracy theories about how a statue is pointing in one direction, and if you follow that direction, it leads to another clue in an ancient other monument sort of thing, and it just rattles through them in every place. It's like a whistle-stop tour of cool tourist destinations and pretending that each one of them is a clue that leads you to something.
Yeah, kind of like National Treasury, which is fine. But what I was reading about it, they said it was all really controversial, and I thought, but it's a fictional Hollywood film based on a silly book. It's not like it's Salman Rushdie come out. Why is everyone so upset about someone knocking up a silly Hollywood film that just...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if you finish the film, then it's not that it's actually controversial, but there is a plot element to what they're looking for. Ultimately, is considered slightly sacrilegious, I think.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I've only seen half hour of it, so yeah.
I love that we've become the podcast of reviewing the first half hour of films. We get through a lot more this way.
It's their fault. They should make better films.
The thing is, this film is well over 2 hours long, and if you imagine that with a constant advert breaks, it's probably closer to 4. So I think that's why I thought, I'm not going to make it through this. I'm going to get irritated. So
they get worse as well as it goes along. The third one, I remember, there's I'm just going to spoil this. Sorry, everyone. But what's his name? Ewan McGregor is revealed to be the bad guy, even though he's been helping him all along. And at the end, there's a nuclear bomb in the what's it called? Where the Pope lives, Vatican. And he flies a helicopter because they established early on that he used to fly helicopters or something. He flies the bomb in a helicopter up into the sky, and then parachutes out of it and lands, and a nuke blows up in the sky, and he lands down, and they declare him the new Pope because he's essentially done this act of God. And this was his plan all along.
But everyone would die, wouldn't it?
Well,
literally, that's what nuclear bombs do.
Especially him.
They don't explode on the ground. They explode in the air. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but he flies it up into the fucking atmosphere.
Well, it can't be that high. If he's parachuting down, right? Oh, okay, whatever.
It literally makes no sense. It's probably not a nuke. It's a big explosion.
As we all know, nuclear radiation just goes up into space harmlessly as well. Yeah, completely harmlessly.
Yeah. Is it a case of? I'm guessing. I haven't seen any of these movies, but when you mention all the puzzles and stuff, I'm guessing he just rocks up at these scenes and just works out the puzzle in real time.
He doesn't even take his hands out of his pockets half the time.
He's meant to be a professor, so he knows all of the stuff. But so he just kind of takes the new clue and applies it to the things that he knows.
It is a trope, though, isn't it? Because I was thinking when you're talking about that, I was thinking of I think it's the last season of Stranger Things did this, where you got these. I think it's got 2 or 3 separate plot threads, and one of them, the kids are kind of driving around. They go into the desert and rock up somewhere and would just be reading some bizarre clues with some fucking markings on a stone in the ground. It's oh, that must be the doorway to whatever. And it's it keeps rattling along. But you're thinking in real life, you'd come to one of these places, look around and be this is literally just a desert. There's nothing here. I can't work out where we're meant to be. We're going to have to go home.
Or we'll die.
we're going to die.
There's an interesting part at the start of this where he's to obviously sort of set the scene. He's giving a lecture somewhere, and it's all about symbolism. And it was quite interesting where he's talking about, the like upside down crosses and swastikas and how they in different cultures were used to mean different things, and it's all about context. And I thought that's quite interesting. And then, you're watching something and you're enjoying it, and then the film, you realize, oh, it's a film. I'm not here to learn. And then that ends, and I was like, oh yeah, I was kind of enjoying that.
Just wish you were just reading Wikipedia instead.
That happened in a film before, didn't it? We talked about that Ryan Gosling film. So you said to me, so your advice is to not watch the film and just read the Wikipedia.
It feels like Dan Brown looked up on Wikipedia what are the conspiracy theories around like famous Italian monuments and just glued it all together with a threadbare plot. But yeah, the first one's the best one. So if you're going to watch any of them, just watch that one.
Yeah, I think I might, because it is obviously with the Indiana Jones and National Treasure. These films need Sahara with Matthew McConaughey. They need a budget to do the things they do. So they're not exactly they're pretty rife, not exactly rife. Sorry. So I will watch it.
Good. We're just without the adverts.
Yes. What I'll do is every 15 minutes I'll just pause the film, turn to play, and say, every 12 minutes a goblin flies out of my arse. And then press play again, so it feels like we're just watching the Savalas.
You'll be back there in that caravan, reliving. Shall I talk about Den of Thieves, Pantera?
Please do.
Please do.
It's one of my favourite Dream Theater albums.
I feel like I've talked about this one before, but I think I've just talked about it with people IRL. Anyway, so this is the sequel to Den of Thieves, directed by the same chap, Christian Gudegast, and I watched this on Prime, if you're tempted. I cannot remember the first one at all, other than the fact it had, what's his face in it? My God, Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr., who is the son of
Ice Cube.
I was going to say which rapper? Ice Cube. Yes.
I don't know if I've seen this one as not the second one, but the first one. The cover seems familiar.
No,
sorry, go on.
I'm literally looking at the first one, thinking, have I seen this?
It's a very generic, mild heat kind of action movie set in LA. So this, I had no hopes for this one really, but I stuck it on because I'm stupid, and it's actually quite good.
Oh,
I enjoyed this one quite a lot more than I think I enjoyed the first one. It's transported the whole thing over to Europe, so it's kind of a Euro heist thriller from the same director, but it sort of turns into a low-key, stylish, technical heist thriller, which is the bit I liked about it the most. It takes a while to set up shop. So they've got to get Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. to reconnect in the south of France, having had the previous one in LA. So there's a bit of sort of hoops they have to jump through. I think in the first one, O'Shea Jackson was his pal, who then turned out to be the mastermind behind it all. Not the most convincing of masterminds, I would say, but in this one, then he's now doing his own thing, and Gerald Butler's kind of obsessed with catching him, and he ends up then teaming up with him because they used to be mates. And I was expecting a very nuts and bolts action film, but it's with a nice scenery, and it's got a believable kind of buddy pairing who are kind of they're at odds with each other, but they have to work together. There's fun dialogue, and then the second half is a really long, extended kind of heist sequence. And apparently it's based on a real robbery, which gives it a whole kind of sense of authenticity, where they based it around timings of CCTV cameras. So there's each camera is on in each room, and as it flicks through the cycles on the people who are watching the monitors, they then have 30 seconds in each room where that window's in the black space kind of thing. So they've got to be in there, and then they've got to break through that door to be in the next room and out of the previous room before it pops up on the screens and so on. So it's really elaborate, and they just take the time with it. It's almost silent as well, where they go by the clock and having to time everything, and then it obviously goes to shit and then falls into action territory. But it's all really well done. So yeah, and Gerard Butler gives a complete no fucks kind of given attitude performance. So he's always entertaining, and you're just waiting for them to kind of double cross each other. I don't think the plot makes sense. I literally sort of tried to piece it together afterwards. It's like they steal a diamond and then they put it into a safe place, but then they realize that they've stolen it from a super powerful gangster who knows who they are. So they then have to steal it from the place that they put it in. And I was like, why can't you just withdraw it again? But I may have missed something here along the way. But anyway, that's probably my fault for drinking whilst watching films. And it doesn't really matter.
Well, that's all from Roger Ebert. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to the end. I was spanned, unfortunately. Oh, okay.
So, do we think Den of Thieves might be a bit of a grower of a franchise? Because they're making a sequel, right?
Are they doing another one, are they?
Yeah, apparently so.
It sets itself up for one, yeah. So I've kind of made me kind of want to watch the first one again, just to kind of. But I won't bother probably. But anyway, yeah, it's worth a watch.
I will watch
heisty action.
The last heist film I watched was that bloody awful one with the with Jason Statham, the Guy Ritchie one. That was crap.
Oh yeah,
had like a slightly French name, I think.
Oh, not Rule de Guerre or something.
Oh, it's bloody awful film.
Yeah.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. just is Ice Cube now, according to this poster. Literally, he's got the same hair, same beard, same body mass.
I can't remember. I'm more of like a rock chick, but Ice Cube is he always with this really like broad smile on his face, or is it always just this like scowl? I always forget which one.
It is a scowl.
It's a perennial scowl. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, guy. Is it Ice Cube? No.
Ice-T.
Who's in the Hard Way?
Ice-T.
Who's in the Hard Way? That's LL Cool J. He's always like the more sort of smiley rapper
he's
actor.
Beaming, yeah. He's been to the gymnasium as well.
Yes.
Oh, that's a bit of a surprise gem then. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera.
Yeah.
What's that?
It takes its time setting itself up, but once it gets going, it's a good hangout heist film. I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's time for you to pull your skirt up, Rupert, and show us what the doctor looked at.
I watched a film on Netflix, not a horror film. It was a film called Steve, which is the next big Oscar hunt for Cillian Murphy after Oppenheimer.
Okay.
He plays the head of a school for troubled male teens, and it's set over one day and a night. And
you like that?
I do. It's a very unprofessional documentary film crew there, and all the boys are kicking off each other, and Steve is struggling with an addiction to painkillers, washed down with alcohol. Habits that he picked up, we learn, after a car crash that killed a child. So he's not in the best of states. And the school is going to be closed down in a few months as well. So it's all going on.
Jesus Christ.
I know, right? It's filmed in a very kind of raw, socio-realist style for the most part, although there are some flashy moments where the camera turns upside down and some trippy sequences where Steve really starts losing it. And there's a very bold moment where the camera starts zooming around the mansion, weaving between rooms and outside and stuff. I couldn't work up. It could have been like drone camera or something. I don't know. I really didn't understand the purpose of that moment. It just seemed flashy for the sake of it, to be honest. The acting is excellent across the board. You got Cillian Murphy, you got Tracy Ullman as his friend and deputy, and you got this young actor Jay Licurgo as Shy, who's one of the boys. Now, the original novel was called Shy, which gives us a clue as to one of the problems with this film. This film's called Steve, and so the naturally focuses on Steve, but he's not necessarily the most interesting character in the story. And so you got this this teenager who's basically been abandoned by his parents and virtually everyone, and he's showing suicidal ideation. There's this whole inner world that's suggested but never explored because the film is too interested in close-ups of Cillian Murphy getting stressed out, and that lack of insight into the different characters makes it all come across as a little bit manipulative. Like the kids are just like functional points for the narrative, and it doesn't get any better towards the end. It all works itself towards a very, very sentimental, almost magical ending, which was deeply unsatisfying given the style up to that point. So yeah, it was a strange one. It was like really well made, but wildly misguided somehow. But it's probably worth it if you like Cillian Murphy close-ups and him going bonkers.
We've seen enough of those, I think, in
I think so.
Oppenheimer, haven't we?
Yeah.
Why call it Steve? Steve is literally the worst title of a film that you could think of.
I mean, people do say the word Steve a lot in it, but they say Steve.
Oh.
They say it in a variety of ways.
Is every character in the film called Steve then?
Yeah, that's true, actually.
That'd be really confusing.
Wife.
Jesus. There have been a few films like this where, like, based on the source material, then they've like skewed the perspective of who the lead character is. Like, that Scorsese 3+ hour long film that came out on Apple TV?
The Irishman?
Yes.
Killers of the Flower Moon, is it?
Yeah, where in the source material, the book or whatever, it's based on a true story, I think. It was based around the cop who comes into town to investigate. But in the film, they switch it to one of basically the sort of a low-level thug in the gang, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And you're watching it going, why are we following this guy? He's got no arc. There's no journey for him. He's just a douchebag, and he stays a douchebag, and we've got to watch him for 3 hours.
Yeah, that's true, actually, because that movie, because the whole point, really, of his character was he was too stupid to realise that people were being clever or manipulative around him. That was the whole thing, wasn't it? So he's got the least arc, hasn't he? He's got the shallowest arc of anyone.
Yeah.
He's never going to become cleverer.
No, and his relationship is like, did he marry her for like is like a contractual convenience to it or something, or does he love her? Like, no, it's just the contractual convenience. That's it.
Is he called Steve at least?
He probably is called something like that.
Yeah. But I didn't realise that there was a shift in perspective there. I did quite like the Killers of the Flower Moon. I liked it more than the
Would you watch it again?
I would watch that again. I would not watch The Irishman again, because that was 3 hours and boring.
Yeah, I turned that off. But then I don't really like gangster films, so after about an hour I thought, yeah.
I don't like de-aging technology.
No.
I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, that scene where he was kicking him on the floor was embarrassing to watch. It's like he was constantly trying to keep his balance.
Yeah, and he was literally meant to be like 39 in that scene, wasn't he?
He was not. It's not 39.
Of all the scenes as well, to like have it on one continuous take, like it exposes it more than anything else in the entire film.
But if you're going to use like advanced CG in a scene like that, why not just get a younger actor with the same build as him and just stick his young face on top? It doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
The only time I've really sort of thought de-aging technology worked was at the opening sequence to the newest Indiana Jones film. I thought that was quite cool. But then he's mostly shrouded in darkness for it, so it's sort of like Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now.
It doesn't really bother me that much if it's like just brief.
Yes, if it's a few minutes. If it's a whole film, then you just end up looking for gaps.
It's when it's extended, like it was in The Irishman, or when it's like a dead actor. I find it a bit creepy because it's like, Did they sign over their likeness upon their deathbed?
I think they do have to get the family's agreement to that stuff. But like the family doesn't, like, I could sit there. If you're an actor and you're an actor's kid who's not an actor, you can say, yeah, no, I think that'd be a cool homage or whatever. And his dad actor would probably be like, I trained long and hard and I think long and hard about these things. And that is not me. That's a person wearing my digital face and it's horrible and I hate it, probably.
Yeah. I look at you, Ian Holm.
Yeah, Ian Holm. How dare you allow your... I don't know.
Am I okay to talk about Shanghai Nights?
Please do.
Oh, yeah.
Which was... I like Jackie Chan films. And again, this was a caravan special and Faye was doing something and I put it on it and it was like just 5 minutes in. And I've seen the film before and I was just sort of saying to Faye, have you ever seen a Jackie Chan film? She said no, and I thought, well, made a mental note to watch Police Story. And I said, you'll probably like this, because she doesn't like what she calls like shooty, fight films. And I said, well, I know, but she does look kiss, bang, bang, so there is some sort of alliterative love with her. And I said, well, this is when you want to watch Jackie Chan's fight scenes, just think of them as like dances, because that's kind of what they are. It's just be like a beautifully choreographed dance. And as I said that, there was one of the best sequences in this film where they Owen Wilson gets robbed by like a street urchin who turns out to be Charlie Chaplin, of course he does. And they get into like this sort of extended chase sequence, and it's just one of the best sequences in the film. And she was sort of sold from that, just said, I see what you mean, it is kind of like a dance. And it's really light and sort of frothy and silly. And because they're in Shanghai noon, I think they're America. In this one, they go to London, obviously, like in the remake of Total Recall. And it's sort of, Victorian London. And it's just what you'd expect, really, them getting into sort of scrapes. And it was just a silly, fun film. What I will say is I had one eye on this, because I remember saying, Lazlo brought it up last time, that I said, Aidan Gillen was really intense in Blitz. And I've only ever really seen him in a couple of films, and he always comes across as really wiry and wide-eyed and mad. And then Lazlo said, not so, Britt. If you watch him in other stuff, you called his acting chops into question. And then, of course, I watched this, and I must admit that I concur, because in this film, he's called like Lord Nathan Rathbone, and he's sort of a dastardly guy high up in the British government who's trying to assassinate the Queen so he can take control. And it's not over the top enough to be a sort of comic pantomime villain. And it's he's obviously trying to do it with a blend of sort of understatement, but what it comes across as is someone who doesn't really know what he's doing. So you've got the slapstick of Chan and the sort of genuine chemistry between Chan and Wilson, and all these other actors coming in and having like little bit parts and stuff. And then you just got Aidan Gillen like hamming it up in a sort of Amdram way. It doesn't sit in the film. And
stuck out like a sore thumb in Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
Sorry, guys.
I was about to argue his defense in Game of Thrones, because I feel like that's his best role.
Probably is his best role. I just think he's not up to snuff. The rest of them, I think, because the writing was so good for a while in that show, it helped.
Yeah, he's given some humdinger lines and moments in Game of Thrones early on. Anyway, how they wrap up his character, I don't think we should talk about. But
which season did they wrap up his character?
It's fairly near the end.
Okay,
and
I stopped off at 6. I think
it's not satisfying in any way, like many aspects of that show. But luckily, we don't have to talk about TV shows on this podcast, because I'll start getting annoyed.
Yeah, you'll have to set up your own podcast for that shit, I'm afraid. The thing is with that as well, it's one of those films that when people have, Britt, you should watch Game. It's amazing. You like fantasy. Oh, well, season 1's good. Season 2 is all right for a bit. And then, but season 6, I'm not watching them. I'm not spending that amount of time on the telly.
Same problem with All Savalas. And it's like, the first 5 episodes aren't that great. But then episode 6 is amazing. It's like, well, that's 5 hours. That's 5 hours of my life. That's like watching 2 movies before getting to the good sequel.
I always reminded of that line in...
You literally just described Blood Fist. Sorry.
Where's that line in Batman where he says, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain," and that applies to TV shows very much so.
Yeah, it really does, especially American TV shows. Yes.
Yeah. Shall I talk about 8 Million Ways to Die? Have you guys seen this?
No.
This sounds familiar. This could have been this could be harking back to my. Yeah, I'm typing too. This sounds like one of the video game. Sorry, in the video store. Yes. Okay. Right. I've seen the cover from the video store, but I've never watched the film.
This is me
other Hal Ashby films, but not this one.
Right. So this is me continuing my love affair with young Jeff Bridges. This is in 1986. This came out, starring Jeff Bridges, Andy Garcia, and Rosanna Arquette. And this was co-written by Oliver Stone, and is a kind of a neo-noir LA cop thriller. Yeah, what's not to like? You can't find it on anything. I found this on YouTube, but it actually wasn't a bad quality link. But anyway, so this is about an LA cop who is an alcoholic and gets fired after botching an arrest and shooting a guy in front of his family. I felt warranted because the guy was battering a cop with a baseball bat at the time. But anyway, he then gets discovered as an alcoholic and gets fired and goes on a bit of a boozy rampage and ends up at some fancy guy's party where a high-class prostitute asks him to help her escape her wealthy criminal employer, who also happens to be his childhood friend, I think. It's weird. I don't know. They talk to each other like they know each other anyway. And he's such a pisshead that he doesn't even remember meeting her before, but he kind of agrees to go along with it. And then he stuffs it up and she gets murdered. So then he decides to try and solve her murder. So it's a bit of a long-winded setup, but it's good. It's a good yarn. I'm amazed how willing that Jeff Bridges was to make himself look like a fucking state in this film, because he's pissed like constantly throughout the first half of the film. And there's a scene where he wakes up. I'm trying to remember what happened before it, but I think he's like trying to solve some part of it, and then he just wakes up and he's in a dropout center and he's got crusty sick like all around his beard and on his face. And he's like, "No, I'm gonna rescue the girl." And they're like, "Yeah, mate, yeah, of course you have." And he has a whole scene where he's just like talking and arguing with them with this sick on his face. It's so disgusting, and he's sweating constantly. And yeah, it was just, I was impressed. But yeah, and there's some really cool stylish stuff. Like the opening shot reminded me of GTA, where it's just like a sort of mesmerizing helicopter shot flying over the towers of LA, and then it flies over to the freeway and then zeroes in on a police car as it's tearing along, and it just goes on and on and on. And it looks great. Andy Garcia plays a bad guy with like an amazingly ratty ponytail, and he's so sort of intensely sleazy throughout the whole thing. He's great. There's a really funny scene at the end where it's sort of the climactic warehouse confrontation, and I think they probably went off script, but he and Jeff Bridges are just screaming at each other what they want to happen, and neither one is listening to the other one. And then I ended up sort of shouting at the screen, just like, "Shut the fuck up, guys," because it went on and on. It was so like weirdly scriptless, and but anyway, it made me laugh.
This sounds brilliant.
Yeah, and the plot is like it's quite sketchy. It's like one of those ones where you're expecting, because of the sort of noirish vibes, there to be a twist, and you think, okay, it's not going to be Andy Garcia because he's too obvious. And then as it goes along, you're like, oh, no, it just is him. First impressions were right. So it's missing a level of complexity, but it's just, yeah, for a sleazy, sweaty 80s LA set neo noir, you can't really go wrong with this.
That sounds really good. There was why is it called 8 Million Ways to Die?
I feel like that's said at some point, but it doesn't really have any bearing on anything. I think it might be to do with money. Is it $8 million or something? There's a whole other subplot about these drug dealers are hiding money in logs and stuff. So I think it's to do with $8 million gone missing or something. I didn't really follow the plot. Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. It is.
We went out on a high.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Like these, really well-regarded cult auteur directors just don't get any streaming real estate at all on streaming services.
Where did you watch this actually, Lazlo?
I found it on YouTube. There's quite a decent. There's two. I'll send you the link because there's two copies of it on there, and they're both decent quality. But one of them is for some reason missing the first 5 minutes. So
Hal Ashby also did Being There, which was of course Peter Sellers' last film back in '79. And that's the one with it's quite good, and it's got a funk version of Thus Spake Zarathustra 2001 in it. Good.
I guess that.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of look at this. Screenplay written by Oliver Stone, uncredited Robert Town. There's a lot of based on a Lawrence Block novel. So yeah, it does sound like there's a little bit of depth to this. I'm up for that. Yeah, send me the link and I won't bother watching it.
It'll sit on your watch list forevermore.
I don't actually have a watch list. I just kind of scroll, see what I can get away with. Is it me or you now, Rube?
I think it's you.
Well, it looks like it's time for me to finally talk about Lair of the White Worm, then, doesn't it? Am I correct in thinking that, Rupert, you covered this a few years ago?
I'm not sure with it. I've seen it. I don't know whether I covered it on.
Oh, okay. Have you seen this one, Laz?
No.
So this is the one, like I said at the start of the podcast, I've been trying to watch for a long time. It's kind of a folk horror set in I think it's Ireland. Oh no, it's up north. It's in Derbyshire bed and breakfast, a very rural bed and breakfast, and it starts off with this woman who runs it, who's got the haircut of a man, and outside, just in the garden, it's just Peter Capaldi looking exactly like Egon Spengler, just digging, and he's just like, it looks like I thought he was like making a vegetable patch because it was about 6 inches deep, and it was 12 foot square, and I thought, he maybe planted some potatoes or something. No, he's digging for dinosaurs, and he finds this sort of huge, looks like a dragon skull, and a local woman then who lives in this sort of house becomes obsessed with taking it back, and Hugh Grant is a nearby toff who is a descendant of someone who killed the Lambton worm, which was like a dragon, the sort of titular white worm. And the whole film rolls on, and the first 20 minutes are basically them going to parties and drinking and having monobrows. Quite frankly, there was not a makeup assistant on this film. I guarantee you, there's so many monobrows. And then this woman turns up, and she's a sort of disciple of the worm, and she turns into a snake, and it's quite cool because it's obviously all practical effects because this is 88. It's Ken Russell film, by the way. I think this is the only Ken Russell film I've ever seen, and it's just really funny because she sort of grows these fangs and her eyes go sort of snake-like. It's quite cool, and she emits this sort of this. It kind of looks like Swarfiga, this sort of green jelly that she squirts on people, and the moment it touches their skin, they just instantly start having really intense visions of women with their tits out dancing around someone upside down cross, entangled with a dragon. And I thought, good, obviously just dream sequences, and this just keeps happening all the time. Catherine Oxenberg, I think her name is. Is it Catherine Oxenberg? Amanda Donohoe.
Amanda Donohoe is the
snake woman.
Temptress.
Yeah, so she's the snaky temptress. The serpentine slag. So yeah, it's just really, really sort of funny and silly, and then they all just sort of get together at the end to take her down. But there's just ridiculous scenes in it where they say, well, how are we going to sort of entice her, out of a mansion over to us where we can sort of control the scene and set up traps? And then Peter Capaldi just starts playing bagpipes and like just dancing around, and she just like dances out of her house across the town towards him, like you would be charmed as a snake sort of thing. And she's doing this sort of like silly, like thrusty dance through these moors, and he's just like playing this tune on his bagpipes. There's a guy in this film, a policeman. He has got one eye on his shoe and the other eye on his wife's infidelity. It's so funny. His eyes are just completely insane. And yeah, it's just her like killing this sort of denizens of this area and then trying to stop her. But it's oddly like rambling, but it's got really good. It's got this really silly, understated humor in it. And Hugh Grant is just foppish and yes, has a monobrow. Don't worry about that. And there was a bit at the start that really tickled me where they're going back from like the local pub and they made it, and the woman with a boyish haircut who runs this bed and breakfast is taking Peter Capaldi like through this clearly like just like overgrown trees and it's all misty and like moonlit, and she says, "Oh, thanks for like offering to walk me home." And he's like, "Oh, no problem." She said, "I'm surprised because this is the exact route that people walk when they go missing. Like my parents went missing last year, and then their bodies were never found." And he sort of goes, "Ah," and like looks around, and she carries on talking. And I thought, he didn't know that, did he? Otherwise, he would have said, "I'm staying in the pub." So yeah, it's just, and then the scenes of her, Amanda Donohoe, like seducing people. Like she gets this really bratty, like 16-year-old yob back to her house. He's a bit dicky. He's obviously underage, and she acts like she's going to seduce him, and then and then just ends up like paralyzing him and killing him. And then Hugh Grant turns up after this kid's gone missing, and he's in this. The house is like weirdly empty. It's like they had the budget to film there, but nothing to stock it. So she's just walking around empty rooms all the time. And he walks in and goes, "Oh, he goes, oh, you've got company of you?" And she goes, No, it's just tidying up. And she's got this bearskin rug on the floor with a chessboard and 2 wine glasses set up and like some nuts and stuff. And as she's talking, she goes, No, I was just tidying up. And she just picks it up and starts throwing it on the fire, like. That's burning evidence, that is, right in front of him. So yeah, that tickled me. But yeah, it's silly. It feels a bit druggy and haphazard, but it's fun to see Hugh Grant in a really early role. And folk horror is always kind of good, silly fun. So It's not amazing, but it's a good laugh.
It's pretty much every Ken Russell film, really, isn't it?
Oh, really?
Pretty much. I think I've only seen The Devils. I must have seen something.
Is that where Oliver Reed gets his tip out?
That's Women in Love.
Oh, right, okay.
I've also seen. Yeah, he's having a fight with like Michael Radford or something. I can't remember. They're having a naked wrestle.
Of course,
yeah. But yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a good movie, Lair of the White Worm. In a way, it's idiosyncratic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't. It's not like, oh, gotta watch that, like because it's so like because obviously it's not scary or anything. But yeah, it's got quite an appealing sense of
silliness.
Humor.
Yeah.
Does it look good? Is it like a nicely shot?
It feels very static, like the way it's watched, but it's just kind of a lot of like sort of misty moors and, like I said, these palatial homes that are sort of falling into disrepair. So there's lots of like big empty echoing rooms and stuff, and then the dream sequences are funny, but. Yeah, it's not like it's a feast for the eyes, but it's got character.
I feel like that's a slight requirement for me to enjoy older films, like 80s films and stuff, is that they're shot in nice ways. You know what I mean? Like they've got a sense of style and stuff, because there's a lot of films from that era that are very blank as well, and they're less interesting to me, and 90s in particular.
I think
so if it's got a sense of style and is a bit inventive with what they could do, at the time, then it appeals to me more.
I think it's probably a problem with every era, but yeah, it's noticeable when you go back to watch something, because it's like, wow, I mean, like, is it got any style to kind of transcend its like inherent cheapness and oldness?
Yeah.
Right then. Okay, so that was kind of a horror movie. Wait, what's that on? Prime.
Of course it is.
I'm going to talk about Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, then.
Okay.
Which is not a horror film.
It sounds like it could be a horror film.
Yeah, it could be, actually, thinking about it. It's got a lot of dolls in it. There's been like 11 seasons of Gabby's Dollhouse in like 4 years on Netflix.
I've never heard of this.
No,
It is a children's TV show. Weird that I happen to have come across this. So Gabby is this eerily chirpy teenage girl with no apparent friends, but she has a very active imagination, and she regularly shrinks down to join her handmade cats in her dollhouse and have these vaguely educational adventures and sing along songs and stuff. And it's absurdly positive. My son is obsessed, so naturally I had to take him to see the movie. There's stuff I like about the universe of Gabby's Dollhouse, because Gabby's a loner who relies on her own imagination to entertain herself. And I like how everything is handcrafted, so curmudgeonly critics bitching about it being a toy advert just aren't watching it, as far as I'm concerned. And it's quite cool psychedelic sensibility about it, like a kind of modern day Alice in Wonderland. And the bad guys are never really bad, they're just broken. So it's got some cool stuff about it. It's not really worth going into the plot of this, but it's unusually fully plotted for a kids' film. And essentially it's about Gabby trying to get her dollhouse back from a squatter who's having illegal raves with his friends, as far as I can see. Like, obviously miniature cat squatter. And what's amusing about this is they have to integrate the theme of growing up into this film, because Gabby herself is literally like 17 now. So they have to acknowledge the highly unlikely situation that this 17-year-old girl is just still on her own playing with makeshift cat dolls the whole time. But it does okay, and it's got Kristen Wiig in it, which helps. And there's not really any point in reviewing the movie as such, because no one's going to watch it unless they have a child who enjoys Gabby's Dollhouse. But for those people, fret not, because it has a modicum of depth, and it is actually quite cinematic and not just a tediously extended TV episode. And the CGI is definitely upgraded for the big screen. So it's not a completely miserable experience. There you go.
Stick that on your poster.
Yeah. Not a completely miserable experience.
When I used to tell my parents that I was popping upstairs for a vaguely educational experience, I think they knew what I was about to do. Especially when my copy of Fiesta rolled up under my arm and a glint in my eye.
And a glimmer man in your eye.
A glimmer man in the VHS player. This Glimmer Man, by the way, I think it's either that or not. Exit Wounds features a sequence where Steven Seagal is in a nightclub, and this is 2000, I think, one in the nightclub, and a massive black bouncer. He does try to do his Aikido thing, grabs the guy's wrist, and the guy just like bends it back up because he's obviously overpowered Seagal, and then Steven Seagal, like, quickly drops down into like a breakdance move on one arm, and then does like a high kick, and then pops back up really quickly, and the guy just falls over. And I thought, that's a stuntman, that is, because Steven Seagal, the quickest he moves is when he gets out of his chair when they ring the door with his Chinese. It's not to do any breakdancing moves.
Which is the Seagal film that we talked about a few weeks back, where they changed the script to the opening scene because he, on the day, decided he'd gone anti-gun, and he said, I don't want my character to shoot him.
Jesus Christ.
And he had to come up with something else on the day. It was the actor who was playing, he's like quite a well-known character actor, was playing this sort of psycho character that he was supposed to just shoot.
Is this John Lithgow in, oh my God, that film from 1993 where he's got like, On Deadly Ground?
It wasn't John Lithgow in this scene, but it may be the same film. I don't know. Hang on Deadly Ground, that was Michael Caine, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, it wasn't that one. It was
the one he
another
directed, in fact, wasn't it?
I bet that's bad.
Yeah. It is
I
bad.
remember it's got really, really heavy-handed, like ecology,
environmental
plot, isn't it?
message. Yeah. Anyway, Britt, did you watch Play Dirty in the end?
I am about a third of the way through it, so I am enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it. The other, yeah. Please,
should I hold fire talking about that then? If I'm not going to spoil things exactly, but
go on. I'm going to watch it anyway.
I might put you off.
No, let it happen. Let it happen.
Okay, so Play Dirty is the new Shane Black action comedy film on Amazon Prime, adapting the Parker series of novels that you are a fan of, Britt, I understand.
Yeah.
But so this is merging, I think, 3 different books into one or something. I've not read any of them. I've seen Payback, and I watched what was the one before that? The one in the 70s, which is basically the same story. Point Blank, yes. So I'm familiar with the character vaguely, but this is a much grander affair where they're clearly trying to set this up as sort of a series of films with its own animated James Bond style title sequence, which helped sort of hit on the nose what I think the problem with this film is it's essentially a quite low key crime thriller story that they've thrown infinite amounts of Amazon money at and just blown every sequence where, like, the opening scene sums it up perfectly, really. It's a low key, sort of quippy, talky heist that goes wrong, and by odd chance of somebody rocking up who happened to work at the bank on their day off and interrupting the whole thing, and this is all fine, but then Mark Wahlberg chases that guy in a car and they drive into the middle of a race track. So they're then tearing around horses who are like falling over left and right and jumping over the cars as they're kind of doing. And then he gets to the end of this sort of car chase and makes the car crash, and he shoots the guy in the head in front of, like, presumably hundreds of people. And you're like, it's like, what? Why did that blow up to this massive thing? And you think, okay, is this going to be now a massive problem for him that he's been televised and stuff? No, nothing. It just goes back to being his low key robbery guy. And you're like, it didn't need to blow up into this ludicrous, overblown, and quite bad looking CG action sequence when it's got nothing to do with the plot. And also tonally, he like shoots the guy in the car in front of his wife and kid, and yet you're supposed to kind of like him, and it's all sort of very weird. Just, I don't know, shoot an unarmed dad in his car in front of his wife and kid, and you're meant to go, yay! I don't know.
The CG on the horses is really bad, and the blood CG is bad throughout as well.
Yeah. And then it launches into this big animated title sequence, and you're thinking, this is not James Bond. I don't know. You're so thrown by that point about what this film is trying to be, and then it's got this really confident, lengthy 2-minute sequence. You're just like, no, you're barking up the wrong tree here. That said, after about 20 minutes or so, it sort of settles into a low-key, scrappy, wisecracking kind of crime story, and it starts to become kind of enjoyable. And you think, this is the film that should have been. It should have been Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, not James Bond. But they don't stick with it, of course, because then we later on go into another enormous CG action sequence where they've got to rob a train. So do they come up with something clever? I know I'm thinking back to now, what's it called? The Den of Thieves, where they come up with an ingenious, low-key thriller sequence. No, they're going to derail this elevated train in the middle of the city so they can rob the train. And you think, well, you're going to smash to oblivion anything on that train. You're going to kill everyone on the train, and you're probably going to kill 300, 400 people on the streets of LA or wherever you are as this train clatters off the railway tracks and collides with buildings and cars. But of course they do it anyway. And and you're sitting there going, how many people have you just killed for the sake of this fucking bit of whatever it is? I can't even remember what it is. It's so unimportant. And you're like, you're not here. These are the worst people in the world, but the film is not concerned. It doesn't matter if a car blows up, and you think, no, that had somebody in it driving. Doesn't matter. Just blow them up, bang, 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 and it's completely unnecessary. So it's replacing intelligence with giant action sequences that feel out of place, and just raise questions about who you're supposed to be rooting for and what they're actually are they actually competent. Yeah. So at the end of it all, I don't know. I kind of wanted to enjoy it, but it was clearly such a step down from Shane Black's other crime buddy comedy films that I did not really appreciate the experience.
Yeah, I will watch it. It's just really strange that just from what you said, that they just seem to have mixed up the characters, John Dortmunder and Parker. Like it's because one of the films I sort of half watched and I didn't even bother talking about it was Why Me, with Christopher Lloyd and Christophe Lamb, which I think is like a 1990 version of the John Dortmunder novels written by Donald Westlake, and that is more the tone of this, but it's a different character, and yeah, it just seems really bizarre to me. I watched half of that and I was too tired, and I thought I'll watch this. Not that it was a bad film, I just wanted to watch it when I was more awake. Although, my God, the music at the start, it goes on for ages, and it sounds like someone just playing like Secret of Mana on the Super Nintendo and putting a microphone up next to it, because it just sounds like really muffled, like 16-bit music. I don't know what the hell they were doing for the soundtrack. But, I will watch this, and it's a shame because apart from Payback, every single adaptation of Donald D. Westlake's films has had a problem. And what's bizarre is the beauty of the books is the economy and the directness of it. So it's weird that they keep messing it up, especially when you've got like Donald Westlake, like an author I love, and Shane Black. Like, it's like, how can this be a bloated, misjudged film? Why can't they get it right?
Yeah, it should be a perfect marriage.
Yeah, it should be. You read like 150-page, really sort of like straight, stark crime novel, shut it, and think, I can't wait to completely fuck this up. And make it completely unlike the book. And I've got no problem when books or graphic novels are get turned into films, but it's happened so consistently with Donald West. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. It's the nuts and bolts are there. It's like it's just overblown. I don't know why this probably cost $200 million or something, and it's a $20 million like heist movie film.
And also, I just felt like it was a continuation of Mark Wahlberg in Spencer Confidential, because he's just playing the same character. It just feels like, that we're not going to get a sequel of that made, so we'll just do this instead. I can just do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Wahlberg's is best, I think, when he is let loose to sort of be comedic, and this he's a weirdly kind of the straight guy to other people who get the funny lines and stuff.
And it's from what I've seen as well, and this is a bit of a cardinal sin in these films, is it's one of those films you're watching it, and again, I've only seen like the first half hour, and people will say, you walk into like meet someone, they'll say, I remember when we did this in this place, or I'm surprised you showing your face here since this what happened there. And I thought, well, can I watch those then? Because they just sound better than watching Matt Wahlberg walking in various kitchens and people telling him he's a dickhead. So yeah, I will watch it. I like Matt Wahlberg, and it can't be. I mean, you should watch. Do you remember Parker with Jason Statham from about 10 years ago?
I remember that.
Yeah.
If that film was just that film without the Jennifer Lopez subplot, it would have been much better. Even if it was like 70 minutes long, there's probably a fan edit of that out there that I would watch and enjoy.
I was hoping for like a trilogy capper, so we could watch like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, The Nice Guys, and then this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was thinking that do we have to go backwards instead and watch like The Last Boy Scout, then Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, then The Nice Guys?
What was The Nice Guys? Was that 2010? Is that like his last great film?
It's his last good film, I think. because he did the Predator, which was
not good,
but did he do Iron Man 3 before or after The Nice Guys? I can't remember.
Before. Oh no, it would have been after, wouldn't it?
Maybe just after. Maybe was it? Let's have a look.
I feel like The Nice Guys was
just before.
After.
No, Iron Man 3 was 2013. Nice Guys 2016. Predator 2018.
Oh wow, that's more recent than I thought.
Yeah. No, literally, The Nice Guys is the last decent film we made.
Well, maybe the next one will be okay. Can I quickly talk about Boys from County Hell?
Sure.
Keeping the horror. Have you've not seen this? Have you? It hasn't been recommended to you on Prime.
Not so.
Never heard of this. No.
It's an Irish vampire comedy horror. The main plot is there's two guys. Sorry, I'm going to burp. Pardon me. Two guys. Oh, there it is. That's the beer. That's the beer. That is. Oof, that's why I don't drink it. Two guys in this sort of rural part of Ireland, and they basically make a living off getting tourists to pay them to take them to this cairn under which a vampire called Abatak was buried, which is apparently, and I don't know if this is true or not, the local pub's called the Stoker, which gives you a clue. Supposedly the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes, I've heard of this.
So 6 Mile Hill is the town they live in, fictional town, and they've got a friend called SP, like a big sort of big cuddly bear of a bloke who's just always up for a drink, and they just basically while away their time just drinking down the pub. One of the main guys, Jack Rowan, his name is. His dad is a local contractor, and they're trying to get a job so they can build a bypass through the town, but it means they'll have to obviously rehome people and knock down the cane, and it'll just completely splinter the community, so it's all a bit full of friction. This is a very Irish film, and the accents were so strong that I put on the closed captions, but it turns out that the person who does closed captions for Amazon was just as baffled as I was, so they really didn't help. So I just turned them off in the end because they were even more distracting. But
sure it wasn't the subtitles for Lair of the White Worm?
I think it was actually the subtitles for The Limey. So that would have been quite the trilogy. So I was watching it, and this guy comes up. So I don't want to spoil it because it is a good film, and it's a very, again, it's another sort of folkloric horror, British folkloric horror, Irish folkloric horror. Sorry, where it's just like a handful of people, and these certain things happen, and it's just how they're fighting back against this sort of vampiric force. So I don't really need to spoil it. Two things I will say, though. One of them is that there's a guy on the screen, and I said to Faye, I know him. And she said, yeah, I recognize him as well. And his name is, I don't know, you might, I'll get you to type in his name because you can sort of go along with it with me. So if you type in John Lynch, who's an Irish actor, grey-haired guy with a beard. So type in John Lynch actor and let me know when you've got him on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You both looking at him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looks like Cantona.
Yeah, that was it. I said, I've seen him before. And then Faye was like, I can't place him. And I said, Faye, we think that's Eric Cantona, don't we? And it really tickled me because I've mistook a man for Eric Cantona. On the last episode, I mistook a man for Kenny Everett and Robert Englund. So I'm not doing very well at the moment. So yeah, I honestly thought it was Eric Cantona, and I thought it can't be. But yeah, so he's in it, and yeah. So I don't want to say anything else about the story apart from the fact it's not an amazing film, but it's a cool little short, 90-minute, and it's just like a rural horror. There's something in this that the vampire Abatak has got this it's really horrible to watch. He's got this sort of power that anytime anyone is near him, he kind of sucks, without even thinking, because you don't really see him to the last 15 minutes. He kind of removes the blood from your body, so they know he's close because their eyes and their ears and their fingers will start bleeding, and then the blood will trail off into the woods where he is. And it's really horrible. There's at the start of it, it starts off when he's walking to the town, and there's an old couple saying, "Oh, what should we watch on telly?" And they both start hemorrhaging blood, and they have no idea what's happening, and it's really horrendous. It's CG blood, but it's kind of, they had to use CG blood for that kind of effect. And there's a bit in the middle where like he's going through the town, and you just see everyone collapsed, and there's just blood coming out of their eyes and their arses and stuff, and you're like, oh, okay. And it's just all like sort of being sucked towards him, and So I didn't know what to expect, but I did enjoy this. It's it feels like a very little story.
Was this on Prime, or where did you find this?
I think it was either Prime or Netflix, possibly Prime.
Okay. I might have a nosy because I remember like working on something that was around Abatak, the character, a while back, and it was some quite interesting, like the things of the origins of the vampire myth. And I remember one thing was cool that they had to put a big, like, huge stone over where they buried him because he wouldn't die. So they had to just basically entomb him under a giant rock that he couldn't lift. But there was also stuff about where the stake through the heart thing originated was, again, because he was basically indestructible. They'd stake him through his chest, like
to pin him down
the ground, just so he couldn't get away, because that was the only way to stop him. So they'd ended up like burying him with a stake through the chest to make sure he couldn't get off that, and then they chuck a giant rock on top of his gravestone or whatever.
That kind of that pops up in this. It's quite funny when they, as they think, they're just going through what they think stops vampires from watching movies, and there's like a bit where they're really excited because the sun's coming up, and then nothing happens, and they're like, "Oh fuck!" And like, you think, how are they going to stop this sort of force? So yeah, it was. It's not amazingly laugh out loud funny, but it is. It's got that sort of like when there's like a mild cultural divide, if you know what I mean, with like the accents and the language. You always feel a bit off kilter watching them anyway. So that's why we're watching Japanese Korean films, and it does have that kind of vibe, even though it's just people in a shitty pub drinking pretty much.
It's on Prime.
It's on Prime, is it? So yeah, that was Boys from County Hell is a decent little. It's a very clean film. It's very well filmed. It's very like sparse and neat to watch.
Yeah, that's on the watch list. Okay, I'll finish off with another one on Prime. Osiris.
Oh God, I've been tempted by this. Okay, yeah.
Do you remember a film called Kill Command? I did talk about it on this show, and I can't remember if anyone else watched it. Anyway,
I haven't watched it, but I remember you talking about it. It was on Disney or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kill Command was the $1 million sci-fi action movie with Vanessa Kirby. It's a robot from 2016, and I liked it, and I thought it was proof that, with a decent script and empathetic characters and filmmakers playing to their strengths, you can create something quite impressive from very little. Osiris has a budget of maybe 6-7 million, and it does not achieve this.
All right. Linda Hamilton's in this.
Well, we'll get to that.
Right.
A bunch of Marines are in the middle of a really tedious and repetitive firefight at the start of the movie, and this spaceship comes down and beams them up, basically. They wake up in the spaceship and are quickly set upon by the local aliens, who are kind of a mix between the Predator and those humanoid dinosaur guys from the 1992 Super Mario Brothers movie. One of the ones with the little heads and really broad shoulders. Kind of look like that. Okay. They meet a hot chick who's also trying to survive, and they shoot things. The script is at best hackneyed, but at worst it's totally dumb. The events are really cliched and the dialogue is awful, and there's basically zero world building. There is kind of a reason for that, but it also like breaks its own rules. It's one of those movies where like they established quite early on in the first scenes that like terrestrial weapons just won't harm these aliens, and yet later on they kind of do. So it's like, well, okay, that's you kind of made.
So the Starship Troopers thing at the start, they're really ineffective, and by the end, a single bullet takes down a battalion of enemy soldiers.
Yeah. And tactically, these elite Marines are pretty useless. They just stand in the open a lot of the time, just saved by the enemy's poor aiming. And there's another moment where like the sniper is like shooting at some shielded aliens, and he immediately recognizes that his shots just won't pass through these shields, right? But he just continues sitting there firing impotently for no reason. It's just bizarre. And the production design is horrible. It's like Red Dwarf level set design, and the lighting it's so tedious. They got like these, obviously got their classic like future where everything's really badly lit, but also the lighting's constantly fading in and out for no reason. So it's just constantly like, and it's like, why? And the editing is lousy.
Just have a vision of like someone, my future self, coming to visit me from like the distant future, and it's like, what's it like, future Britt? And it's like, you can't see fuck all, mate. Okay. Anything else?
Your living room light isn't constantly dimming here. It's weird. Like, what? It just stays on.
No, that's blinking, future Britt. Okay, all right, I got pissed off. Back to the Future.
So there's a lot of action scenes in this, but the editing's so bad, and you combine it with that overwhelming darkness and the overbearing sound design and the oppressively loud ambient score, and it's virtually impossible to tell what's going on in the action scenes, of which there are many, and they are all just interminable gunfights shooting back and forth. Linda Hamilton is on the poster, but she only receives an "and" position on the casting list. And she shows up an hour into the movie to provide a massive exposition dump in a bad Russian accent. So that's what she does. I will grant that the final reveal is decent and foreshadowed quite well. But you've got like 100 minutes of boring bollocks to get through before then. It's just crap. It's just badly made crap. So don't bother with Osiris.
Yeah, okay, this is good. I'm glad you put me off this, because I was on the very cusp of watching this on the weekend. And, but then even the poster image of her and then looks a very dated looking alien face thing was like, this looks cheap and bad. But I then read some reviews that said the action was solid, and
it's really not.
So I was kind of like,
just boring. Okay. It's literally just every action scene is them like hiding around behind pillars, shooting down a corridor, aliens shooting back, more aliens turn up, because shoot some more. There's no like invention or fun in any of the action scenes at all. And the script is so bad, there's no like humor or anything. Just drab as hell.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. Good. I'll miss it. I'll skip it. Excellent. Also, is Linda Hamilton turning up for the last 10 minutes of your film really that big a draw?
I suppose it might be for a film of this scale.
Stature.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been given a solid push by Amazon, though. They think, don't know.
I guess they think they can just lure people in. Because it does start with a very, very lengthy action scene, so I suppose people might... I don't know, but it's very video gamey, you know? It's one of those movies where literally, like, this bunch of Marines is meant to be like a real-life operation sort of thing in, like, the Middle East somewhere. And it's just waves of enemies. Like, there's about 5 of them, and they're just gunning down. They must shoot, like, 100 guys in the first action sequence. Like, that has never happened in one of these countries.
And when they get on the alien ship, then have they got no bullets left, or do they have another 3,000 rounds to go?
Well, they are like given. Yeah, they got infinite ammo basically, and they pick up alien weapons as well.
Oh, good.
But they're just the same boring. Good? Sorry,
are the alien effects good? The creatures.
Well, I appreciate the fact they're not CG, so there's that, but they're not very good. You know, like when you think back to when you see like the original kind of like Predator suit or something like that, and you're thinking this could have been a very different movie if Van Damme and his Predator suit had been left in it. but then in the end, it turns out to be one of the best monster makeup things ever, and it's like, okay, that made the movie, but it goes to show, doesn't it? Like, if you don't have that, you don't. Well, I don't think it'd make a difference to this film, to be fair, but.
Before we move on, can you do me a favor? Can you go to Linda Hamilton's Wikipedia page?
Sure.
And there's a picture of her on the right where she's got like a heart locket on, a white t-shirt and like a blue background.
Mm-hmm.
Right, click on that to its full page and then answer the question if you think she smokes or not. It's anyone's guess, really, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no way to tell.
She must wake her husband up and say, I think I might have a glass of water. See, I've been saying that you have 40 years, Linda. Bless her. So, okay. I mean, I've got 2 left for me to be completely and utterly caught up. I watched 28 Years Later a couple of weeks ago. Have either of you seen it?
No.
Right.
No.
Can one of you watch it by the next time? Because it's now been so long for me that I've I've really enjoyed it, but I can't talk about it at any length. So if one of you two can watch it,
not on anything yet.
You can rent it.
Yeah, I think we rented it. I think we rented it on Prime because we were keen.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do the same.
Okay.
Maybe that would be a Halloween thing to watch.
That could be
Goosebumps and that double bill.
The last thing I'm going to really quickly talk about then is just. Actually, no, I'll keep it for next time because it's the Robert Redford thing. So that's me. That's me up to date.
Can I talk about Wolfman then? Because it's the only horror film on my whole list. Have you talked about Wolfman before?
I have. I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than you. But yeah, I'm happy to have a listen.
Okay. Well, I'll rattle through it. So yeah, I mean, as you've described before, no doubt it's like a low-key werewolf body horror film from Lee Wannell, who did The Invisible Man, which I really enjoyed. So I was kind of looking forward to this, even though the reviews had been a little bit downbeat. And I kind of enjoyed it, but with reservations. So the premise being that there's a husband and wife and their young child return to his childhood home where his father has died, and they've got to clean the place out or whatever. And then they get attacked by a sort of a very fast, hairy, monstrous thing that may be a werewolf, and he is scratched by it, and then they have to hold up in the farmhouse as he gradually turns into a werewolf. So they've got a werewolf outside, and then he's turning into one slowly on the inside, which is a cool premise, a simple premise, pitting a family in danger, not from an external threat and an internal threat. And there's some good practical effects, and there's some novel touches in the way they approach turning into a werewolf, where he stops being able to kind of hear them and see them properly. So they're saying, "We love you, Daddy," and then you see his point of view, and they're just saying, and he's just sort of seeing their eyes glowing up, and they appear more horrific to him, which helps explain why he then just kind of wants to savage them later on as things get worse. So cool ideas in there. Unfortunately, it falls back on tropey stuff where they're fleeing. The werewolves are as quick as a bolt of lightning in some moments, but then when he's chasing a little girl who's running across a field, for some reason he now slows down to a gentle canter and can't catch the child, so it just gets a bit annoying in places. But yeah, and there's some nice thematic stuff in there about his dad being a kind of a harsh, abusive figure, and he's inherited traits of that, but he tries to resist it. And so then when he's, by virtue of turning into a werewolf, forced to kind of turn on his own daughter, it's sort of, he's fulfilling the sort of prophecy of his father and stuff. So there's some interesting stuff going on. But I think it's let down by, I don't know, a weight of expectations that this is going to be a classic, because it just isn't quite got enough on meat on the bones to really do that. It feels a bit simple and small at the end of the day. So yeah, it was okay. Also, the dialogue is quite bad. Okay. There's bits where they literally, what was the things he said? He said things like, he talks about himself in the third person, like saying like, your dad, he's talking about himself, but he's saying your dad isn't like his father. He'll always protect you even if he gets angry sometimes. And you go, yeah, we got this. You don't have to literally say the emotional problems that you're dealing with out loud. So I don't know. Yeah, it could have used a pass on the script probably.
I suppose he is talking to a child though, like a young child. So maybe it's.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think there was multiple scenes of that I could you could look at and go, why are they saying out loud their feelings?
What I'm looking at, yeah,
what they're planning to do and what they're thinking. Yeah, it was on the nose quite often. But
the bit in this film that I thought was like the creepiest, and I don't know if you felt the same, is I suppose it's not really a spoiler, but there's a bit where they kind of trap one of the werewolves and it chews through its own leg to get away. And I thought, well, it's obviously going to be hampered now. Not so. And it's crawling, it's pulling itself across the ground at such a horrendously quick speed that it actually made me feel a bit weird. Like the thought of running away from something and then you turn around and it's almost faster than running because it's so desperate to get to you and kill you. And I thought that was quite buzzing. The way it's like dragging itself along the ground. I thought that was quite cool. But yeah. And I got to be fair, I can't remember the dialogue, so it was a good 6-7 months ago I watched this, but I did like how it kind of stuck to its guns. We always talk about when the last 15 minutes of a horror film, it all massively kicks off. And it doesn't really do that. It gets tense and there's obviously the sort of ending you probably expect, but it doesn't get massively grand in scale for no reason. It still keeps to its sort of small guns, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, it's like an anti-werewolf SWAT team doesn't turn up in helicopters or anything like that. It keeps it real. Yeah,
the dog soldiers don't turn up.
No, I mean I was reminded of Dog Soldiers that kind of has bigger ambitions than this film, I think. But yeah, and it's probably a more enjoyable film overall, although this is slicker, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I'm still waiting for the perfect werewolf film. I haven't found it yet.
And you've seen Howling 6?
I did watch The Howling, of course, when we were away for that weekend, but I didn't write anything down. And again, I may have been drinking all day.
All day.
Watched it.
It's probably not suited to that environment, to be fair, that movie.
No, it's not like a load of blokes together shouting into each other's mouths kind of film. That's more for like Alien Attack, whatever it was called. I still want to have a horror day, by the way, because my birthday is... For the last 2 years, we said we're going to do it. We should just do it. Just the three of us holding hands, looking at each other's feet, not the TV, with Maniac Cop 2 on. Right, so I guess we're going to go to... we're going to do films of the week before we move on to the Arkansas.
Yes.
Yeah. We usually forget film of the week, so well done.
Thank you very much. After 5 years, I've picked up a few tricks. I think mine would probably be... Let me have a look at my list again. I did enjoy Shanghai Nights. Lair of the White Worm, because it just felt a bit bizarre. There's another couple. I missed another film off as well. I'll do those next time. But modern, it would be Boys from County Hell, because it's always nice to see. And again, it's the two sort of folkloric British horrors. So Boys from County Hell for the modern ones, and Lair of the White Worm just for its bonkers Ken Russell-ness. I watched The Ninth Gate as well, by the way, this last couple.
You did.
Love it, absolutely love it.
I think I'll go with Goosebumps 2.
Nice.
Nicest surprise.
Very good.
I'll be watching that tomorrow.
I'm torn between 8 Million Ways to Die and Den of Thieves. It feels a bit weird to name either of them as my favourite film of the week because they're I endorse them, but with caveats. I'm going to go with 8 Million Ways to Die just for the Jeff Bridges having sick all over his face and not giving a hoot.
That's what we look for in cinema, isn't it? Some bit of spew on them as such. Yeah. So we're going to move across the Arkansas now, which was Robert Redford to Brendan Gleeson. I wouldn't mind going first as a treat because I always forget to do them. I either forget to do them or I get responses and I feel like I've cheated. And remind me at the end of this when we go through ours and the listeners because there is a one-stepper. So I said Robert Redford is in Spy Game with Brad Pitt, who was in Deadpool 2 with Ryan Reynolds, who was in Safe House with Brendan Gleeson.
Good.
Nice.
Yep. Three-stepper, nice.
Nice
I
little
went
three.
with 3 steps myself. I went with Brendan Gleeson is in Joker 2 with Lady Gaga, who's in A Star Is Born with Bradley Cooper, who's in Endgame, not that one, with Robert Redford.
Specifying it's not
Nice.
the 1980. I immediately assume when you said Endgame, it wouldn't be the Marvel massive blockbuster franchise. It would be the 1983 film with Al Cliver in it.
Yeah. Is he even in Endgame, Robert Redford?
He was.
Oh,
he had a
thank God.
cameo.
I literally guessed that he was in that. I thought every fucker's in it.
Why not Bobby Red? Why? What kind of cameos is he in? He's such a big actor. Why would he be in that film?
No, because he was in Winter Soldier, wasn't he? So
yeah, they've go back in time, so he's he's back alive for a brief scene.
Right.
Although he looks considerably between Winter Soldier and Endgame, he looks like he's shrunk about a foot, and his suit has suddenly become very baggy. He does look like an elderly man. Bless him.
So what's yours then, Lazlo? 2, 3 steps.
I've got a three stepper as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I was sure that there was something better here, but I got Brendan Gleeson was in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, who was in Interview with the Vampire with Brad Pitt, who was in Spy Game with Robert Red Hat. It's Roger Red Hat, isn't it? Anyway, yeah.
What's Roger Red Hat?
It's a kid's
Billy Blue Hat
book. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Village with Three Corners. My dad always used to call him Roger Red Hat just to piss my mum off because she fancied him so much.
Rightfully so. She'd obviously seen 3 Days of the Condor, which is when he was at his sexiest. Max says Robert Redford was in Avengers Endgame in what must have been one of his last roles. Also in Endgame is Don Cheadle, who appears in The Guard with Brendan Gleeson. That's a nice one.
Yes.
Oh, very good.
Jimmy Automatic said, a 4-stepper done in a hurry. Brendan Gleeson was in Bruges with Ralph Fiennes, who was in the Grand Budapest Hotel with Bill Murray, who was in Ghostbusters with Dan Aykroyd, who was in Sneakers with Robert Redford. Always nice to get some sneakers on there. Passport. Dave Chard says, happy birthday, mate, because it was my birthday. Thanks both for mentioning that on the podcast. Very nice confidence boost. Also, Robert Redford was in Lions for Lambs with Tom Cruise, who was in Edge of Tomorrow with Brendan Gleeson.
Yes.
And Ed says, a bit late, but I'll go Robert Redford with Woody Harrelson in Decent Proposal. Woody was in Seven Psychopaths with Colin Farrell, who was in Bruges with Brendan Gleeson. So another... and he wished me a happy birthday as well, guys. So, just don't even take that on board, maybe.
Was it your birthday?
Yeah, October 22nd.
I mentioned it.
Every year, 42 now. Stone. Bloody hell. I'd have trouble getting up if that was the case.
Yeah. The chair would be shaking.
Yeah.
Try to get up.
This balsa wood chair that I sit in. I squatted.
Shivering chair. One of Walter Kunt's early films, I think.
That was funny, which is why I'm going to tell everyone I wrote it. This has been Kino Kingdom 110 vaguely educational adventures. What are we going to do for the Arkansas for next week?
Hang on a second. Didn't you say there's a one-stepper? What was it?
Yeah, didn't. Who won?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay.
No, I did forget.
Tune in next week.
For Britt to complain about it not being his birthday. Complain every day, wake up complaining that it's not your birthday. So it's a film from 2012 with Shia LaBeouf called The Company You Keep. It's got Robert Redford and Brendan Gleeson in it, and Nick Nolte, and Chris. It's a hell of a cast, actually. Hang on. The cast for this film is Robert Redford, Shia LaBeouf, Julie Christie, Susan Sarandon, Jackie Evancho, Brendan Gleeson, Britt Malling, Anna Kendrick, Terrence Howard, Richard Jenkins, Nick Nolte, Chris Cooper, Sam Elliott, Stephen Root, Stanley Tucci, and Keegan Connor Tracy. So that's a hell of a cast.
Jesus.
This was thanks to... I've never seen that film, but I might watch it now. And that was thanks to Utah Smith, who sent me many rambling, mostly silent voicemails where he was just going... like he was in Napoleon Dynamite, trying desperately to remember the name of this film, but he couldn't. So it's The Company You Keep. Next week's Arkansas Dar, then, gentlemen. What are you feeling?
Have we done Jeff Bridges before?
I was thinking about Hugh Grant. I would say Peter Capaldi, but the only thing he's ever been in is Slayer of the White Worm in terms of movies, I guess. So it's been a tough one.
We have mentioned Hugh Grant in 2 films today, so that's a good start.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? Hugh Grant to...
Oh, what about... oh my God, his name's just fallen out of my head. The guy with the ratty ponytail from the film.
Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia.
Hugh Grant.
They've probably not been in the same film.
They cannot have been in the same movie.
I'm assuming someone's going to mention Mickey. Yeah, and obviously with Hugh Grant, you've got a big cast of he's always been in big films, hasn't he? So, yeah.
All right. Hugh
That's
Grant.
To Andy Garcia for KK111.
Okay.
Well,
easy.
Nice and easy. So, yeah, just... so someone's writing a book, are they? Is it good? It's crap, mate. Thank you. Thank you for everything. It was a good, fun one today, and I guess next time we're going to concentrate a little bit on Robert Redford.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm
going to watch In the Company You Keep, whatever that is.
Yeah, political thriller. You can't go wrong with those, can you? So,
okay.
So I shall bid you both adieu, and as always, we'll end with Lazlo doing his top 50 sex positions.